Welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking and watching this video. I've been reading books for a very long time. I started in elementary school. I went through the whole Hunger Games, Divergent franchise, and now I'm 23 years old and I'm still reading books. And over those years, I've read a lot of books that a lot of people recommended that have been super popular, and you pick them up and then you don't end up liking them. And so that is what I'm gonna share with you in this video. Now, I just want to preface that obviously what you read and what you like and what someone considers a good book and a bad book are all subjective. We are all entitled to our opinions, and what you look for in a book might be different from what I look for in a book, and that might be the determining factor whether we would recommend it or not. I have to admit, I'm a little bit nervous to make this video because these are all books that a lot of people like. Some of these books are people's favorite books, but I just didn't like them, and I'll explain a little bit. So the first book I want to start with is The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. I know Christina Lauren is super popular and she has a ton of books out, and a long time ago I picked up this book because the premise is amazing. It's so Wattpad coded. I love a good romance. I don't have a problem with cheesy, predictable romance, and I haven't read any of other Christina Lauren's books, but at least this one I knew it was gonna fit under that category, and I just wanted a good little summer light read, but unfortunately I disliked it. It has been a couple of years since I've read this book, so I don't remember too much, especially because I didn't really enjoy it, but I remember thinking that the book was a little boring, even for being, you know, predictable, cheesy romance. I thought I was gonna love this book, and I just didn't. Usually with romances, I like when there's dual point of view, and I can't remember if this book has it or not, but to me, that's something that I figured out is a deal breaker for me, or not a deal breaker, but it'll be most likely that I won't enjoy the book or I won't love it, is if it's not dual point of view. I just feel like with romance books, it really helps you kind of dive into the story when you have both points of views. And for this one, I don't remember there being too much character development. I don't remember there being like a lot going on that was too exciting. Like, yes, the premise was, you know, a little exciting. The Unhoneymooners, they go on the honeymoon, I know, but I read it, I've left it in my bookshelf ever since, and I have not picked up a Christina Lauren book ever since on purpose because I just disliked this book so much. I'm so sorry. I might do a video where I give authors a second chance and I'll pick up another one of her books. I know she just dropped another one, so we'll see. The second popular book that I did not like was The Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. I feel like this book went famous on Booktok, and it was everywhere and everyone was reading it, and it has such a cute little cover, and I feel like for a second people in middle school thought that this was an appropriate book to read, but this is definitely not an appropriate book to read. My biggest problem with this book is that I just did not like the writing style at all. We got the dual point of views, so that was definitely good, but I just felt like this was a Wattpad story, and not in a good way. Again, I don't mind cheesy little romance books. I love them. I have a bunch of them back here, but for some reason, the writing style on this one, it was really hard to continue reading them. And it really was just a writing style for me. I picked this book up because I wanted to read another hockey romance. I love a good, you know, hockey romance, Elle Kennedy, those types of books. I was really hoping that this one was gonna be it, but I disliked this book so much that I don't even want to pick up the second one, even though it seems very interesting and the premise is definitely something that I would normally be into. But this book, it just really feels like a Wattpad story, and not in a good way. That's just literally the only way I can describe it. I am so sorry. I feel like I'm being so mean, but it's just, I just didn't like it. That's it. All right, so the third book I dislike. I feel like there's a little bit of a pattern here. I've only picked books in this categories where I'm either A, on purpose not gonna pick up another book by this author, or B, I'm really hesitant to spend money on another book from this author. And the next one is one of them, and I think the next one is gonna be one of the most controversial choices. It is Normal People by Sally Rooney. I did a reading vlog on this book, so if you wanna go see it, I'll tag it below. But everybody loves This book, everybody loves Sally Rooney. People talk about this book changing their lives. All I have to say is I really did not enjoy it. If you want to see all the details as to why I didn't, obviously go check out the video, but just to summarize it in a couple of words, this was so depressing. Like, don't get me wrong, I like watching some sad movies when I just feel like being down, but this book was genuinely, truly making me so depressed when I picked it up. I did not like how I felt when I was reading this book, and I don't think a book should do that to you. Second of all, I really didn't relate to the characters, so it was kind of hard to kind of read so many pages about people you just don't think you would enjoy spending time with in real life. And then third of all, I found it to be a little boring too. I know it's supposed to be about normal people, so obviously there's not going to be anything too exciting happening in their life, and it was going to be slow paced. I knew that, and I still felt like it was just not exciting enough for me in any sense. I know a lot of people talk about Conversations with Friends, another Sally Rooney book, and I am so sorry, but I will not be picking that one, and I cannot recommend this to anyone. The next book on this list is one that I don't even own because I started reading it on my Kindle and then I DNF'd it. It was just really bad, and I have this habit of not really looking up people's reviews before going into the book, and I think this is the book that changed my mind, because after this I wouldn't have wasted all those hours reading that book if I had read the reviews before I started reading the book. So the book is Pucking Around by Emily Rath. I read the novella and I was really excited because I thought the premise was really interesting. And again, hockey romances. These hockey romance books, I really want to find a good one. I really want to give them a try. And then they just end up disappointing me. So can someone actually recommend some hockey romance books that aren't The Icebreaker or Pucking Around? That would be good. I've read all the Elle Kennedy books, so I like those. Help a girl out here, please. I also did kind of a full review on my June wrap up because that's when I read the books, or I might say attempted to read the book. I read about 200 pages. I was invested, and first of all, a romance story should not be that long. It took me forever. I hadn't even gotten to the romance part of it. They hadn't even gone out, or I think did they kiss? I really can't remember. I was so far into the book and nothing had happened. Nothing, not a single thing. We didn't build a world. I don't know what was happening. And then I read some reviews about where the story goes and about how, I don't know if I should say, you know what, I'm not gonna say this, but this is a hockey romance. The main character is one of the new physical therapists for the teams for the Jacksonville Rays, and it's essentially a romance, I guess. I don't know, I DNF'd it, but I will definitely not be picking up the book again, and I also will not be reading another book from that author. The next book I also do not own because same thing, I started reading on my Kindle and then I couldn't keep on reading it. I didn't even want to buy it. I didn't even want to continue reading it on my Kindle, and it is Shameless King by Maya Hughes. I know this is such a popular series. I know. And I feel like my middle school self would have devoured these books. Even my high school self would have loved these books. But now as an adult, I just did not enjoy the writing style at all. When I'm reading a book, I want there to be a good balance between dialogue and world building and, you know, their actions and explaining and their thought. Like, there has to be a good balance with all of those. And in this one, if you've ever read a Wattpad story and it's just authors kind of like writing every single action that a character does, like, oh, I woke up, I put my left foot on the ground and then my right foot, I shimmy on my slippers, brace myself off the bed, extend my knees, head over to my kitchen, open a cabinet door, grab my mug to prepare my coffee, grab my creamer, grab my whatever, set the Keurig for 8 ounces. I hear the coffee brewing and I yawn while I wait for my coffee to finish, and then my coffee ding's complete. I bring the mug to my lips and I feel the liquid go down to my stomach and caffeine course through my, like, I cannot stand when people write like that, and this book felt like that. Every single action, every single blink, every single look, every single breath, I felt like it was being written down, and I just can't stand it. I think I got 15 pages into the book, if any. I don't remember, because I couldn't keep on reading because it just felt like I was reading a transcript of something instead of reading a book. I don't know if I'm gonna give it another shot. I really don't think so. I just don't see the point in spending money on a book that I couldn't even read like the first 20 pages of, and it wasn't because I was in a book slump. But again, I think my middle school self would have loved that book, probably. And then the last book that I didn't love, and this is the one where I'm a little hesitant if I should try a second book or not. It is The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams. A lot of people love Sarah Adams' book, and this has been on my TBR forever, and I was finally able to purchase it. And I also do not like the writing style in this book. This is another cheesy romance, and I'm fine with that. I'm totally okay with that. I didn't know that a piece of work could have too many adjectives and too many metaphors. I didn't know that was a thing, but this book showed me that that was a thing. I like the characters, I like the premise. I don't even mind, I like how they write dialogue. I'm so sorry. It's just a little too much for me. I think every single verb and noun had an adjective attached to it. And yeah, sure, I can skip all the adjectives, but it kind of takes you out of the story, and that's not something you want from a book. I really want to read When in Rome by this author, so I might just try that one, but after this book, I am not too sure. I don't mean any offense when I say this at all. It's really obvious to me that the person who wrote this book is a millennial, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just something I observed. It's just a fact. I feel like it really translates in her work what type of era she was raised in, because the main character was really quirky and cringy in a 2014 type of style, which actually kind of confused me, because for a second I thought this book was written in 2014, and if I did my research right, this book wasn't written in 2014. Actually, you know what, let me fact check that. Okay, I just checked. This book is definitely not from 2014. I don't know when she started writing this, but to me it felt like this character and this book would have absolutely demolished in 2014. I know these are all really popular books, and they're allowed to be popular. People are allowed to like them. But for some reason, these particular books were not the style of books that I'm really into. So please be nice. We can all like different things, and that's totally fine. I hope you know that by me making this video, I'm not trying to bash on any author. Writing a book and getting it published is not an easy feat, and I really commend all of these people for being able to write, edit, and publish a book and putting part of themselves out there into the world. These are just my thoughts on the book and my feelings about them. And guess what? If you love any of these books, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. I just feel like sometimes books become really popular because the idea of books and the idea of them becomes popular, kind of like with trends. And so if any of the things that I mentioned in this video is something that you also do not enjoy in those books, maybe you should read a couple of reviews or get a sample for one of them before you decide to spend your money on them. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you stay around and maybe visit my channel.